In rapper YNW Melly's witness tampering trial, state attorneys confirming the witness tampering charges dropped against the rapper. Before that announcement, the jury selection was expected to take place tomorrow.
A major win for Melly in court today has everyone talking after a judge mentioned the possibility of a release date. According to court records, Melly will no longer face trial for witness tampering after prosecutors officially dropped the charges. The Florida rapper's trial had been scheduled to begin on Wednesday, January 21st. However, during a hearing on Tuesday, January 20th, prosecutors abruptly decided to dismiss the case. Following that decision, Melly's attorney, Drew Findling, released a statement saying, "We now look forward to seeking Melly's release from custody, where he has been held under extraordinarily restrictive conditions for far too long, based on premises the state has now abandoned." Findling added that Melly's release would allow him to fully and meaningfully participate in preparing his defense for the upcoming proceedings, which the legal team plans to fight aggressively. He also suggested that prosecutors dropped the witness tampering case because they were afraid to take it to trial, pointing to questionable actions like the arrest of Melly's ex-girlfriend, who was allegedly told to leave the United States, as proof the case was weak from the start.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023.
When Melly's trial began in 2023, Mariah was actively being sought by police after failing to appear in court. Authorities made repeated attempts to locate her, including non-stop phone calls and visits to her home, but she had completely vanished. Toward the end of 2025, however, Mariah decided she wanted to return home. Missing her family, she booked a flight using her ID, unaware that doing so would trigger a law enforcement alert. While waiting for her luggage at the airport, police approached her, took her into custody, and arrested her on the spot. After the state dropped the charges, reactions poured in from across the industry. Melly's mother celebrated the decision, writing, "God is good and he hears your prayers." Even 50 Cent chimed in, praising Melly's attorney by saying, "Drew Findling is a bad man, beating all these cases." But despite the celebration, prosecutors dropped the charges for a very specific reason. According to a 5-page memo, the state dismissed the witness tampering case against Jamel Demons to avoid jeopardizing key jail call evidence needed to prove consciousness of guilt in his pending double murder trial. Prosecutors explained that ongoing legal disputes over the admissibility of jail calls created a serious risk of suppression, which could result in a mistrial or the loss of crucial evidence ahead of the scheduled 2027 trial. Melly had originally been charged with witness tampering and gang-related offenses tied to alleged efforts to prevent key witness Mariah Hamilton from testifying. Financial records showed Hamilton received over $31,000 from Demon's management company and associates, along with help purchasing a Mercedes, despite having no documented income. Investigators also cited jail calls, surveillance footage, and inmate messages that allegedly showed Demons directing a relay system through inmates James Howard and Terrence Mathis to communicate outside the jail after losing phone privileges. Later in the memo, prosecutors further claimed that recorded calls and messages instructed associates, including co-defendant Bortland, to keep Hamilton away from court using coded language and nicknames. Those alleged codes were later exposed by Juvie's father during a public interview 2 years ago, adding another layer to the state's case.
This kind of crazy way that Melly was communicating. He wasn't allowed to use the phone, but he was passing notes to people, and then this person's calling this person and then that person.
They like to me, they going through extreme measures, try to cover up or convince people not to testify, like Mariah mom. They was using code words like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's baby mom.
However, this move was actually very smart on the prosecutor's part. In the witness tampering case, Mariah was essentially their only key witness against Melly. If she testified in that trial, she wouldn't be able to testify again in the double murder case. By dropping the witness tampering charges, prosecutors can preserve her testimony and use the evidence she has in the double murder trial instead, alongside whatever evidence Bortland provides. That means two people closely connected to Melly are now positioned against him in the main case. Once news broke that Bortland accepted a plea deal, things became even more serious. As part of the agreement, Bortland also agreed to a proffer, which means he's cooperating and talking to prosecutors. He pleaded to accessory after the fact and was sentenced to 10 years in prison plus 6 years of probation, minus any time served credit. His deposition has already been requested in the civil case, but legal experts went even further, explaining why this is especially damaging for Melly. According to the judge, on both charges, Bortland entered a no contest plea, which still requires him to provide a factual basis for the court to accept it. That means he has to clearly explain how he committed accessory to the crime, essentially confirming that the crime actually happened. This isn't a simple yes ma'am plea. With the proffer in place, Bortland has to fully tell the story. In other words, he can't stay quiet. He's got to sing.
I'm saying people are upset. I said this is a gunner plea. This is a gunner plea. This isn't a plea saying you have to tell on him, but this is a plea that you're going to have to provide all the details that they were missing to convict him. And that's why it's a gunner plea. Why do I say he signed a gunner plea? Because YNW Melly, and I watched the case, we covered it. YNW Melly's case is that, number one, you guys have not done a job to prove that this is actually they have proved, but prove that this is a homicide with this person being the offender. Also, the accessory after the fact plea confirms that Bortland, that's kind of like almost like a sub part of a conspiracy, except you weren't with the conspiracy at first. You came in after the fact. What that proved is that they came in. What that proved is that Bortland worked with someone after he acknowledged that a murder took place in trying to cover it up. You hear what I just said? When pleading to an accessory to after the fact, you have to acknowledge that it happened and you assisted someone or in some way to cover the. Now, if Melly's statement is, how do we know? And then secondly, how do we know who did it? Because they said it was a
The simplest way to understand this is that Bortland is essentially clearing himself of responsibility for the killings of Sack Chaser and Juvie, which leaves Melly as the only remaining possible suspect at the scene. While the defense has claimed the murders happened during a drive-by, Bortland's plea forces him to acknowledge that the crime took place inside the vehicle. Once that's established on record, Melly's position becomes extremely difficult to defend. A professional attorney who reviewed Bortland's plea agreement explained that this deal all but guarantees cooperation against Melly. By accepting the plea, Bortland is legally required to provide details that implicate others, and those details are expected to point directly at Melly.
Will be flipping. He is going to be tell-all about anything he knows about the double case, and they will know if he's telling the truth or telling a lie when he gives his full quote-unquote confession as to what happened that evening. And that's what happens. A lot of times where guys are in the prison for 4 or 5 years awaiting trial and looking at a life sentence, and they're offered 10 years where they'll be home probably in another 3 years that he'll serve, he decides to flip and become a cheese eater. And that's what happens a lot of times on these cases. And I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner than it did. He held out for quite some time. But long story short is it looks like he's going to flip. And it makes the case on YNW Melly, depending on what he says, which I anticipate he'll say that YNW Melly is responsible.
But Melly's legal team isn't backing down. They're pulling out every possible move to improve his situation. His lawyers have now filed a lawsuit against the Broward Sheriff's Office, accusing them of cruel and inhumane treatment and demanding his immediate release. According to the filing, Melly hasn't been allowed to speak with his family for nearly 3 years. The lawsuit has sparked reactions across the hip-hop world, with other rappers voicing support. One wrote, "I like what I'm hearing right now. Shout out that boy Melly. Free him. He been in there too long." At the center of the lawsuit are disturbing allegations about Melly's conditions behind bars. His attorneys claim he's been kept in a freezing cold cell, served barely edible food, and denied meaningful human contact. Melly's mother also reacted publicly, and reports from her interview paint a grim picture of his daily life in jail. According to her, the conditions are so severe that she fears he may not last much longer. And she even claims Melly is no longer allowed to use the jail phone at all.
Has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail. They don't give it to him.
Overall, she expressed deep pain and sympathy for everything Melly has endured behind bars. She went on to say that watching her son suffer has been absolutely heartbreaking, and that the emotional toll of his situation has been devastating for her as a mother.
You saw Melly's statement just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life. As a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We've tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail, because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him, and the jail they make their own rules. And I don't think that's fair, because I know that they need to answer to someone.
This sparked strong reactions across the media, with several commentators weighing in on the situation. Charleston White, in particular, spoke out, saying that Melly deserves a harsh prison experience because of the crimes he believes Melly committed.
The YNW Melly, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. Homie, when you take a life, homie, you ain't got a right to complain about a motherfucking thing, about being mistreated. When you done chose to play somebody.
Even rapper Boosie weighed in, saying he feels sympathy for Melly's mother and the emotional stress she's been forced to endure throughout this entire situation.
Okay, so then I met his mama while he was in.
Oh, okay.
I met his mom while he was in, and she real, bro. You know, she real.
She's stressed out. I heard she had a...
Yeah, she real, and I reached my hand out to him, cause I'm real. Yeah, I reached out to him, bro. I met his mom, and she a good woman, bro. And when I see them mamas like that, it remind me of what my mom was going through.
The judge ultimately allowed both sides the opportunity to argue why Melly should or should not be released from custody. During the hearing, prosecutors reminded the court that they possess text messages in which Melly allegedly takes responsibility for the crime, using that evidence to argue against his release.
BZ Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly account says what?
After that, SHHH.
Prosecutors also pointed to the parking lot video showing Melly dancing with Portland and appearing carefree, using the footage to argue that his behavior didn't align with someone who had just experienced a traumatic event.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! No, still turned. Regardless of what happened, you already know.
Melly appeared indifferent to the deaths of his two best friends, showing little outward emotion. However, unbeknownst to him, security camera footage captured him getting into a Jeep just 30 minutes before the crime occurred. This detail is crucial because it matches the exact spot in the vehicle from which detectives say the shots were fired. Forensic analysis traced the trajectory of the bullets inside the car, showing they traveled from left to right, which aligns with the back left seat where Melly was sitting. Additionally, Juvie's mother testified, identifying the individuals on the security footage and confirming that it was Melly who entered the back left seat.
Can you state your name? Your full legal name for the jury?
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the kids in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right-hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Janelle.
I can also make a slightly more dramatic courtroom-style version if you want it to read more intense. Do you want me to do that?
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what firearm was used.
Okay.
They viewed this as strong evidence supporting Melly's claim that the incident was a drive-by. However, during the original trial, investigators discovered even more troubling evidence inside Bortland's house.
Melly's co-defendant YNW Bortland was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-county warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Cortland Henry, aka Bortland, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues the alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamel Dimmons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd, the same day the warrant claims Bortland allegedly tampered with the witness.
It was then revealed that images of alleged notes recovered during the raid on Bortland's home showed drawings indicating where certain jurors were seated, along with another sheet describing their appearances. The notes suggested that Bortland might have been preparing to contact the jurors, potentially to influence them or even harm one, all in an effort to protect Melly.
This is sloppy. Bortland, how the f you gonna have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy sh! Like, come the f on. It's like doing a and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage of the is in your DVD player. They're like, oh, okay, thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib.
With Bortland now cooperating with federal authorities, he can no longer interfere with the jurors. Instead, prosecutors are using him to corroborate key evidence, starting with their primary question: why did Fredo Bang suddenly pick up Melly on the way home?
And Chris Thomas are. So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Devins is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location, to one of his friends, Frederick Gibbons. Frederick Gibbons is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Gibbons, then about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin, where Mr. Devins has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone calls.
In an unusual turn in Melly's case, prosecutors are seeking to add an aggravating factor to his charges, arguing that the crime was committed in furtherance of a street team. They presented a photo of Melly with Young Thug, claiming it shows he was attempting to join the Red Street team and committed the crime to prove his loyalty.
The use of the slap term, 5-point star, snake, he's saying he's YSL, and he puts up his YNW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Devins has the hand signs displayed.
Okay, and these individuals again, I'm assuming that's also Young Thug. That's also unknown.
Yes.
Also important to your investigation, correct?
Yes.
also publicly available for anyone to see.
Melly showed no concern about the photo being entered as evidence and told the court to allow it, but his lawyers strongly objected, knowing it could worsen his potential sentence. This hearing marked the first time Melly openly defied his legal team in court, even yelling at them during proceedings.
Against our advice, our clients.
Those in the courtroom heard Melly defending himself to his lawyers, saying, "I don't care. I'm not in any team. They can't prove that."
924-071. Call for an automatic stay while
they were aggravators. They go to membership in a gang. There were things that the jury would have to find before going into penalty.
Not aggravator, that's the death penalty. Aggravator, that's the gang enhancement itself, Your Honor. That was charged. He was charged in committing the murder for the gang, which is an aggravator in terms of the guilt.
Something that they would have to find by way of an interrogatory.
Yeah.
The federal prosecutors plan to introduce another witness. A former O-Block member testified that Melly asked King Von for advice on handling people, noting that King Von would have been the most knowledgeable person to consult given his history of taking matters into his own hands.